Hello everybody. It's a slightly different video from me this time. I just thought I'd have a little talk. I know very often people mention that one of the things they like about these postings, not mine particularly, but in general, is that it's something to paint along by. I can't say this is going to be a particularly long one to paint along by, but I just thought I'd share a few of my thoughts about some of the work that I'm doing, and just describe where I am now in some of my projects. I have recently finished the Swiss Infantry from Ultimate Ratio. Um, they they painted up very nicely. They're nice mouldings, and I was altogether very pleased with them. I mean, I've no previous knowledge of this Renaissance period. Got a couple of Osprey books, and that was about it, really. I mean, I usually invest heavily into, like colonial or Zulu War, um, French and Indian War. I will pick up half a dozen or more books before I really get into it. And this is one of the things I was going to speak about, actually, is the direction that the hobby pulls you in. When you're painting model figures, it's very easy to get sidetracked. I mean, I remember recently I've gone through periods of intense interest in Charge of the Light Brigade. I mean, that produced half a dozen boxes of figures, which I still haven't painted, and quite a number of books on the subject. And then that went a little bit cold before I even got the figures prepared, and I went on to Perry Miniatures Zulu War figures, and I actually painted two boxes, one British, one Zulu, and that was fine. I completed those, but I'm very kind of easily distracted. I suppose we all are, but I go from one subject to another. I mean, I've got my son and daughter's bedroom has been taken over by my book collection. I mean, I've got a fairly large book collection, and the thing of it is, as I say, it's because every time I get into a new series of figures, a new project, I invest heavily in literature. I pick up books, uniform books, everything like this, and then sometimes it can go off the ball very quickly. I mean, I've got a large section on the English Civil War. I was never greatly taken with the Civil War, but I got the King and Country set from Warlord Games. I painted all those up, and that was quite an undertaking for me. I completed those. I've showed some of those figures on some of my videos. I've got more to show, and I was very pleased with how they turned out, but could never really truly get into what is a fascinating period. I mean, a very important period in our country's history, but never could quite get into it. Similarly with the American Civil War, very colourful, very, very inspiring, but I could never quite get into it. American Revolution, American War of Independence, yeah, I mean, that was a colourful period, lovely units, both British loyalist and American. Never been able to stick with it though. But colonial wars, Zulu wars, of course. I think two basic armies really. The Zulus, you know what you're getting. There's no cavalry or anything, no artillery. The British, not too complex an army, but I enjoyed painting those. The Sudan Wars, the Gordon Relief Expedition, for example. Yeah, I mean, that can get quite involved with all the different units, whether it's British or Egyptian army. A terrific period, with overtones still relevant today. So I'm torn from one direction to another. At the moment, I am sticking with Burgundians. I've picked up several boxes from my usual shop in London, Hannant's, who are very good. The guy there, Mick, is a very nice man, very knowledgeable, and I'm going to stick with the Burgundians. I've prepared them. I've scraped all the flash off of them. The box of figures from Mars, particularly, wasn't too well cast. The front and back of the figures was slightly off, so you had a ridge all around the head, and the whole outline of the body was just slightly out, if you understand what I mean. And every single figure, every single gun, every single wheel had to be laboriously trimmed down. Whereas some of them, like the Ultimate Ratio figures, they were just perfect, good to go. At the moment, I'm kind of leaning again towards the Gordon Relief Expedition. I've got quite a few books on that, and I get drawn to that. I find it very difficult not to get passionate about that. I've got, a book on Gordon's journal, which I showed in a previous video, his actual diary from the siege, and I'm very keen on that, but I'm going to get these Burgundians done. Don't know a lot about them. I'm just going to paint them in, according to the Osprey book, in numerous bright colours. And as I say, the Swiss infantry came out pretty good, so I shall try and stick with them. But I just wondered what people, their own experiences are of being influenced. I see a film, something on one of the History channels, or the Sky channels, and off I go. I'm immediately hooked. Or a film. I mean, the other day they put Battle of the Bulge on again with Robert Shaw, and I was immediately drawn to that, and I just easily led. Really, I think it's possibly, it's like a kid in a candy shop. Really, it's everything's there. I mean, you don't need to go out and get it. You just call Amazon, and I mean, I've had incidents of calling Amazon at midnight, and there's someone knocking at my door at 8 o'clock the following morning with what I've ordered. That's mainly to do with books, but it's possible to get anything at any time these days, and for us weak-willed people, it's very easy to get caught up in it. I mean, I know we all have lead mountings or plastic mountings. I know Ralph Astley is working through his, and Gary's World of Wargaming. It's we've all got stacks of stuff. I mean, I've got suitcases, boxes, trunks full of plastic figures that I'm glad I collected, and they seemed like a good idea at the time, but a lot of them I'm just not going to get round to painting. I mean, as I say, I picked up some of the I think it's Strelets, the Roman senators. Now, they're not going to form an army with those. It's not going to be wargaming. It's just going to be something that you paint, and they do look wonderful. I mean, you've even got Caligula there and his horse. I believe he made his horse a senator at the height of his madness, and it's just a lovely set to have. I've even got World War II German infantry marching as at the Nuremberg Rally. One of the I think it was Caesar Miniatures did that one, and I've got a lot of kind of slightly peculiar sets, ones that don't really fit into any particular niche. You couldn't say they were wargaming armies. Got a little set there of Vlad Dracula, the original, the actual historical figure, and again, it's such a kind of complex army, such multicoloured figures that I'm never really going to get to paint them, but I collect them. You know, I got a load of stuff there. You know, Mussolini's March on Rome set that I think was originally, I'm not sure, but I think it was originally an Atlantic kit and it was reissued. And it's just Mussolini, a couple of people on motorbikes, and you know, I suppose you could make a procession out of it, like the Hitler one. You've got Hitler in his brown shirt in a kind of mid 1930s, you know, standing up in a very nondescript staff car, and you know, they're great sets to collect, but I'm never really going to get around to painting them. I really only paint armies as such, you know. But you know, I just thought I'd have a little face to the camera chat. I got a bit of a cold, so I'm speaking from my bed, so I can't actually display any figures or anything like that or books. But I just thought I'd have a chat, and as I say, sometimes these ramblings, for what they're worth, you know, there's something you can have on while you're painting away and doing something worthwhile. But I hope you're all well. Yeah, a lot of good guys out there, as I say. You know, Gavin, greetings to you. You're always an inspiration, mate. You tackle all sorts of stuff, and you really give it a go. And you know, don't underestimate the power of what you do. I mean, I find it very, very inspirational. I wish I could. I wish I could do the same, but my own humble offerings are what they are. Um, I'm glad to contribute, but I do love to listen to all of you, the guys across the water as well in the good old USA. And as I say, greetings to all of you, and hope you have a happy Christmas. I'm maybe going a little bit early with that, but I hope you get a lot of stuff of what you want. Here in England, we've got Warfare at Reading. Wargame show on Sunday. I don't know if I'll get up there, but I may do. I haven't been for a couple of years, but hard to believe we've got to the end of the year already. It only seems 5 minutes ago that Salute was on at the Excel Centre. So yeah, a speedy year, and you know, off we are heading towards 2020 now. And anyway, happy modelling, happy painting, happy wargaming, and I'll catch you in another video when I will display some figures next time, and you won't just have to put up with my ugly mug. Anyway, cheerio.